Good day, everyone. Welcome to my public service announcement. Today we'll talk about earthquakes. So, what are earthquakes? If you live in the Pacific Ring of Fire, you probably know what this is already. But if somehow you're living under a rock and haven't heard of what an earthquake is, what are you doing? Have you ever felt the ground kind of go like sometimes it's bigger, sometimes it's just like sometimes there's cracks in the ground, sometimes a volcano or two erupts. Yeah, that's an earthquake. And maybe a few after effects. Earthquakes are caused by a number of things, but at its core, it's where the Earth's surface starts to shake because of the release of energy from the crust, which becomes the result of seismic waves. Earthquakes could cause a number of bad things like the ground shaking, obviously, landslides, tsunamis, cracks in the surface of the Earth, and other literally groundbreaking things. Earthquakes usually occur near faults, so be careful near those earth cracks. Okay, so now that I've told you about what an earthquake is, you're probably thinking, uh-oh, this ain't good. What do I do when this happens? Well, you should probably look for another video. I'm kidding. Since I'm talking about earthquakes, I should know what to do when these things happen, right? Psych, just keep on watching. Okay, so let's start with what to do before an earthquake. Before this scary monster of a disaster hits, you should probably start planning. Firstly, you gotta have an evacuation plan for something of this scale. Plans that involve things like where you're headed when the disaster comes, and plans for whenever you're in an undesirable location like driving outside. Lots of these may vary from person to person, so I'll only tackle the very basic things needed. Gotta remember how your house looks like, so take note of that. For example, this is my floor plan. I have planned exits for wherever I am. Stay calm and remember all of this. Wouldn't want to go freaking out and jumping off windows. Emergency kits are very important when these disasters hit, so it should be a priority to have these. Here's my emergency kit. It's filled with stuff. Here we have food, water, some kind of headgear. Let's see. More food, alcohol, masks, flashlights. Shut up. We have the first aid kit full of things essential when first aid is needed, like wire gauze, cotton buds, okay, alcohol swabs, povidone iodine. No. What's this? What's this? 500 by paracetamol. Burn treatment. What's this? Phenylephrine. What's this? Loperamide. We have tape, medical tape, whatever this is. I think this is called Vicks. Man, bandages. Gotta know what to do when first aid is needed too, so check out this handbook inside the first aid kit. It's pretty cool. You should also keep a list of numbers in case things like this go down. Emergency procedures are really important to know when there's a disaster, so you gotta remember things like the drop, cover, and hold maneuver. But, of course, you gotta be careful which things you hide under. It's ideal to stay under something like a table or a chair. Stay away from hazards like flammables and chemicals because you might get a whole lot of burns, or maybe even superpowers. Stay away from objects that may potentially fall like cabinets and bookshelves. You ain't coming back like Tom when he gets crushed by a wall, so you gotta remember these during an earthquake. After an earthquake, you gotta be prepared to put all those evacuation plans you've created into practice. If you get caught in an earthquake in a building and the earthquake's resided, walk briskly out of the building through the safest route. After getting out, check if everyone is okay and if you yourself have sustained any injuries. Always remain organized and calm as you and everyone else heads out, and always remember to never, and I mean never, use an elevator. Always use the stairs. Much safer. Don't go inside the building, especially if it's damaged. Always look at your environment because you'll never know when you might turn into a pancake. Always listen to the news for announcements for coming earthquakes, what to do during earthquakes, and things that may happen after an earthquake. You have to be aware of the aftershocks and other things that might happen after an earthquake occurs. The news will help a lot, so pay attention to it, or you might just become a pancake. I'm Gab. Thank you for listening, and I'm absolutely exhausted.